My friend invited my husband and me to a 40th birthday party for her husband. The party was going to be at a fairly upscale restaurant with dancing afterwards. We've been working on some remodeling projects, so we've been on a strict budget. My husband and I wanted to attend the party without breaking the bank, so we decided to share an appetizer and entree and only have one drink apiece. When we got to the party, we were ushered into a private party room. When we were seated, we were given pre-planned menus with several options for appetizers, entrees, and desserts. I asked a passing waiter if I could order a la carte instead of getting the pre-planned menu. The waiter indicated that the meal was being paid for by the hosts, and because we're part of the party, we needed to order from the pre-planned menu. My friend is a bit wealthier than we are and has always been really generous about their parties, but I was blown away that they would host 15 plus people at this restaurant. As the meal was ending, the main server approached my friend's husband with the check. My friend's husband seemed to be a little upset and said, "I know this isn't how you normally do things, but we are only paying for the wine. We told you that." I suddenly started panicking inside. I was trying to catch someone else's eye to see if they were panicking as much as I was. One other couple looked horrified, but everyone else seemed calm. I opened the check and the total was $211. I thought I was going to throw up. I have never spent that much on a meal. I held my crap together because I didn't want to make a scene. The couple that looked horrified sidled over to us and we asked if they knew how much it was going to cost and that our friend wasn't paying. They said they had asked waiter too and he had indicated the hosts were paying. I ended up messaging her and said, "Thanks so much for inviting us to this party. We had a great time. Just a heads up for next time, we really need to know if going to a party is going to cost more than $100. We are on a really tight budget, so a heads up would be appreciated. Thanks again." My friend said, "Sorry. Should have given you a heads up. Glad you came." And we haven't spoken or hung out since. I've tried to set up coffee dates and girls' nights, but she just bails or never responds. It's been almost 3 months and she doesn't seem to want to talk to me at all. Not the idiot. The host broke so many standard etiquette rules. If you plan a party, the expectation given to the guests is that the food and drink will be paid for, unless clearly specified ahead of time, in which case an idea of price should be given for planning purposes and allow guests to decline if it is out of their budget. I feel bad for you and all the other guests for having those sprung on them at the end of the evening. Really ruins the party and the memory of it. At least you know to politely decline a party planned by her next time. Not the idiot. Your friend is avoiding you because her husband made her look bad by refusing to pay for anything other than the wine, which was probably cheap. I'm sure she's embarrassed and doesn't know what to say to you or to others who she was made to look awful by her husband. If you want to salvage the friendship, then tell her that. Send her a text saying that even though you were surprised about the bill, it's not worth losing the friendship if that's why she's avoiding you. If she still doesn't reply, just let it go. Not the idiot. One of my friends recently had a birthday and his significant other planned dinner at a restaurant. We have a wide range of incomes, so she communicated with all of us to see if we wanted to do a prefix at $80 per head or do the a la carte menu. Some people didn't want to do $80, regardless of whether or not they could afford it. So we went with a regular menu, everyone had a great time, and we treated the birthday boy. I don't understand why it's so hard to communicate from the start so everyone can have a good time. Yesterday, I attended the wedding of my boyfriend's former piano tutor as his +1. The wedding was quite fancy and everyone was in formal wear for the ceremony and reception, which were held inside a chateau. I am 21 and quite tall for a woman at 5.11. I am also a model. My boyfriend is also tall at 6.5. We usually get stares when we are together, I suppose mainly because of our height. For the wedding, I wore a long gown which was in accordance with the dress code. I also wore 3.5-inch heels with my gown. I didn't think that was unusual, nearly every female was wearing heels at the wedding. At the wedding, my boyfriend and I got some stares, but of course, the main attention was focused on the bride, who was beautiful. About 20 minutes before the ceremony began, the mother of the bride came over to me and politely asked if I could remove my heels and offered a pair of flats that belonged to the maid of honor. She said that my height was distracting and she was afraid that I'd block the view of those sitting in the back rows. My boyfriend and I were sitting somewhere in the middle. I thought it was an odd request because my boyfriend is next to me and he's half a foot taller than me, should he crouch down. But I didn't want to argue with the mother of the bride. I wore my own pair of flats that I had brought. She said thank you and left. After the ceremony, I thought this meant I could wear my heels again. But apparently not, because when I walked into the reception area, the mother of the bride looked disapprovingly at me. She did not come to talk to me, but it was obvious that she was annoyed. I found this whole thing very odd. I was a very polite guest. I wore a modest dress and makeup, nothing over the top. Yes, I wore heels that made me over 6 feet, but I cannot help my height, and besides, all the other female guests were in heels. Granted, I was the tallest woman among the 100 or so guests, but still. My boyfriend found it rude of the mother of the bride, but didn't say anything. I really did not wish to cause any problems though. Should I have worn my flats for the duration of the wedding, including the reception, to minimize distractions from the bride? Or is the crowd overreacting? Thank you. You're the idiot. The dress is clearly bridal, or at least in the bridal party. The link you showed had bridal in there. Even without the train looks hella bridal. Going pastel colors too. As for the mother-in-law, I'd say she's screwed versus idiot. At the very most. As a fellow tall person, I hear you. I don't think you would had any trouble if you were not in a bridal dress. Think about it, a 6 feet tall woman in what easily is a wedding dress. Bride is guaranteed to feel overshadowed. Not the idiot. The mother of the bride was rude. Honestly, I get annoyed with brides obsessed with being the absolute center of attention on their wedding day. I could understand annoyance if you wore a white dress or otherwise were clearly trying to call attention to yourself, but as you said, you can't help being tall. And frankly, I wish people would understand that while their wedding is very special to them, it's just another wedding to everyone else. So people noticed you for a moment because you're an unusually tall couple. If the bride or her mother let this mar the day, they're the idiots. Not the idiot, you cannot help that you are tall, and you seem like you were a very respectable guest who followed the dress code of sorts. It's a little odd to ask someone to take off their heels and call them distracting. You better keep strutting your stuff in heels whenever you please. This reminds me of the multiple times I have been asked to tie back my hair or hide it because it's distracting, unprofessional, or blocking views. Hair and height should not be that distracting. Me and Ted are, or were, good friends since our teens. Ted's family are not too well off, so whenever we hang out usually I am the one paying for us and driving us around. Ted had always been passionate about becoming a digital illustrator and graphic designer. He worked hard for his dream and managed to become a part-time freelancer doing commissions while working in a restaurant and continue his studies in the art and design field. About half a year ago, Ted came to me asking for a favor. He wanted to buy a laptop too expensive for him and wanted me to pay for it, promising to return the sum in full in 3 months. I was hesitant, as the laptop he wanted was very expensive, almost a third more than my own laptop. However, I guess as a designer in training, he needed one of the best. So being kind of a screwer, I paid for it. As you might have guessed now, not even a single dime was paid back. I offered to have him pay me a set amount for 24 months, now thinking back, he could have done the same and bought it himself, but he kept avoiding the subject, saying he was too busy working and studying. So one day, I figured I had enough. To cut the story short, I stole the laptop from his home during a visit. The laptop was registered under my name during payment, so I doubt he could or afford to file any charges against me. I dropped him a message before I leave that if he wanted back he had to pay me the laptop's full amount. He begged me to return the laptop to him as he could not do commissions or study without it. He gave many apologies and all sorts of promises that he would pay back as soon as possible and even brought up my previous idea of installment pay. I said no, it's either the full amount or no laptop, and I will be using it as my own and delete all his data if he cannot pay me back. I do feel sorry for him as I know the importance of a laptop to him as a designer and illustrator. But I feel like I need to grow a backbone too and stop letting him push me around. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. You for stealing his work, not for taking back the laptop. Deleting his files is a crappy thing to do. You wouldn't decide to steal his furniture if you'd paid for woodwork tools. You paid for the laptop, it is yours. But you didn't pay for the worked hours he put into the files on the hard drive. Keep the laptop as it is yours, but give back the files. He's an idiot for refusing to pay you and not being honest about his financial situation if there's a specific reason he's unable to pay. Everyone's the idiot here. You're well within your rights to be pissed he didn't pay you back, but to jeopardize his work and school when you can reasonably assume he doesn't have the money to pay you the entire sum right now is crappy. Get the payment plan in writing and make him include a statement that he understands the laptop is yours until he completely pays you back and that he understands you will either take the laptop or sue him if he misses any payments. Then ask him for the first installment before you return it. Everyone's the idiot here. He shouldn't have asked you to buy a laptop he can't afford and not making any attempt to pay you back for this. I think you planning to delete his data makes you an idiot as well. I think you should give him his files back on a memory stick. He did work on them, and deleting his homework and projects is unnecessary, in my opinion. If your car is repossessed, you get to keep the belongings you had inside the car, they are still your property. It wouldn't cost you anything to do this. My husband Joe and I have been married for a few years. He has a teenage son, Jack, with his ex-wife Kim. Joe and I have a great relationship with Jack, who lives with us half of the time, and we are civil with Kim. For a couple of years now, Jack has been into a sport that I am also into, and last year he decided to train in that sport seriously. He has been doing very well, so as a reward, and to encourage him further I decided that for his birthday this month, I would buy him an important equipment used in our sport. He has always wanted to own one himself, and if things go well it will be with him for the next 10 years, so I know he will be very happy with it. Yesterday Kim called me and told me what gift she will be getting Jack. We do this now to avoid getting him the same gift, which has happened before. I told her that I got Jack the equipment for our sport. She was quiet for a while and then asked me if I could get another gift for Jack's birthday and just give him the equipment in October. Kim said that she knows Jack will absolutely love my gift, so if he gets my gift and her gift at the same time, her gift will be upstaged by mine and all of Jack's attention will be on my gift. She said she has been saving for Jack's gift for a while, so she would like to see him be happy and thrilled about her gift, and that is not likely to happen if Jack receives our gifts at the same time. I understand where Kim is coming from, but to me, it doesn't seem right to treat giving gifts to Jack as a competition for his attention or affections, that we have to resort to taking turns. Why can't we both give him our gifts and make him as happy as he could be on his birthday, a day that it's supposed to be about him and not about us? No idiots here. I'll probably be downvoted for this, but I can actually understand her feeling a bit heartbroken that she scrimped and saved for a gift and now his stepmom's bought him something that sounds fairly expensive and so impressive that it will leave hers in the dust. I don't think you need to wait until October, and you certainly don't have to get him another gift, but just to compromise, could you tell your stepson that you'll give it to him the day after his birthday? Personally, I am someone that was brought up in a separated family. I just want to say that I was in this situation a fair bit. My dad always had a bit more money than my mom, and when it comes to gifts that would show. I loved my mom's gifts, but I would talk about my dad's for days and days on end, and because I was so young, I never realized how much it hurt my mom. I can see that now, so my only advice is to consider the mom's question and maybe hold off for a week or so, let him enjoy the mom's present and try to eradicate any feelings of competition. No idiots here, but I would consider Kim's side. Y'all would be getting him something he'd be ecstatic for while Kim's gift might get ignored and she might feel like she's the lesser parent between the three of you. It'd be nice to consider her viewpoint and hold off. It would keep things civil and not make Kim feel like she's losing the son's affection. You don't have to because it'd be a late day gift, but I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think the kid will care once he knows what you guys got him. My daughter is 16 and has a job at a chain coffee shop. She works with 6 other high schoolers and 5 college kids. The high schoolers she works with don't like their manager. He keeps their hours just below the threshold for higher pay, doesn't give promised raises, and is just an idiot to work with. Recently my daughter and one of her friends were joking about making a union like the ones they were studying at school. They texted some of the other kids from work and the idea started gaining traction. So I talked with them about it, explaining the possible benefits and risks. I tried to encourage them to do their own research too. I thought it was pretty cool that they were considering taking something they're learning about in history class and applying it. The girls ended up inviting the other high school kids who worked at the coffee shop to our house to talk about how to unionize. I could tell some kids were going along for fun. But most of them were taking it seriously. I helped them write out their demands and practice them. They even got the college kids, who were unhappy with scheduling around exams, on board. They all went to the coffee shop Sunday morning and presented their case to the boss, who absolutely blew upon them and told them that if they didn't stick to their schedule, they were all fired. But the kids stood their ground. He started singing out the kids that were scheduled to work that morning and telling them to start work immediately or they're fired. And so 3 of them got fired. Then he told the rest that anyone else who didn't report for their shifts would be fired too, and I don't think he expected them to call his bluff. He fired several more, then started demanding that the fired kids come into work. Right now, the kids are all holding strong. Apparently, the manager is trying to replace everyone fast, but isn't having much luck. I'm honestly quite proud of my daughter for all this. But the parents of the other high school kids aren't all okay with this. Several of them have called me up or come to speak to me furious with me for these reasons. Making their kid lose their job, which they were supposed to keep to teach them hard work and responsibility. Encouraging kids to be entitled brats and sabotage a local business owner. Letting the kids play at something they didn't really understand. I told them that the kids made their choice, all I did was give them a place to talk and plan things. I got a call from the coffee shop owner too to say that my daughter hasn't been covering her shifts. And that the kids are playing at a union. I told him that it doesn't sound like play to me, perhaps he should listen to what they have to say. And he got furious with me, calling my daughter lazy. I honestly think my daughter learned more from all this than she would have worked as a barista. But the other parents are furious at me. Am I the idiot? No idiots here. I understand why the other parents would be upset that their children have lost their jobs, and that is valid. But you are teaching them much more about responsibility and how the workplace really works and facilitating them having fair working conditions. This type of action will inspire them for years to come. Teenagers really do need to be in contact with adults who take them and their ideas seriously and don't just write them off or prescribe what they should be doing with their lives. Good for you. Not the idiot. Those other parents can back off. You're teaching their children about the value of money and the value of their time from their own perspective, not as dictated by somebody else, and they're learning how to stand up for themselves and stand together and what the consequences of that might look like. I don't know why they want to teach their children to be helpless and to accept working conditions they collectively find unacceptable. And the coffee shop manager is clearly an idiot. Not the idiot. Frankly, it sounds like their manager gets his jollies by bossing around and bullying kids. Good for them for standing up for themselves and using hard work, research, and knowledge to do so. If this was over something silly, then I could see where the other parents were coming from, but as this is about creating an ethical workplace, they're absolutely in the right. If this guy was the boss in an adult career, he could lose his job. But somehow treating young people this way is acceptable. You all are definitely not the idiots.